Hey, what's up guys, my name is Fire, and today I'm going to be talking about how to rank up in CSGO and what is the easiest way and pretty much what comes into factor on how to rank up. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So first of all, there are two known ways to boost your elo. There's a lot of things that actually affect your elo, which I'll get into later, but a lot of you might not even know what elo is, so let me explain that first. Elo is pretty much the algorithm used to measure your skill. Most competitive games such as Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, probably a lot more, and Face It, which is a special client for CSGO if you're trying to go competitive. Along with ESEA also use it. There's probably a ton more games that use it that I'm just missing out on, but CSGO actually uses it too. But CSGO is a special case because you can't actually see it. In games like Overwatch, after every competitive game you play, you could see how much elo you lose or gain, and that shows how close you are to getting to your next rank. But CSGO actually doesn't have that. I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on that probably towards the end of the video, but let's actually get into how elo is gained. As I said at the beginning of the video, there's two known ways that boost your elo: winning a round, losing a round, which is the same category, and MVP stars. So first of all, when your team loses a round, you lose elo. That's a guarantee. You cannot gain elo from a loss, you cannot lose elo from a win. The amount of points lost or gained depends on how much previous elo you had, whether it depends on your rank or how much elo you've accumulated through the game. So let's just make this clear. It is impossible to gain elo on losses and impossible to lose elo on wins. And when I'm talking about losses or wins, I don't just mean whether you lose 14-16 or something like that. I mean round to round. If you lose a round, you don't gain elo. If you win a round, you do not lose elo. But players with more elo pretty much lose more points than players with less elo. So let's say across a game we're 5 rounds in, I've gained 50 elo and my teammate has gained 30. If we lose the next round, the player with 30 elo will probably lose. These are just random numbers I'm making up in my head. They don't really have any meaning, but let's say the player with 30 elo would definitely 100% lose less. He would lose 5. Let's say the player with 50 would lose 10 elo. And this is pretty much the reason why if you're global, for example, you're gonna lose a lot more elo playing against lower ranks like silver or even MG or even legendary eagles or something like that, which makes it a lot easier to D-rank. Playing against ranks lower than you makes it a lot easier to D-rank. And let's say you're silver, for example, playing against higher ranks like global. Well, I don't know why a silver would be playing against globals, but this is just for example. You will gain a lot more elo playing in those games. Now, the second known way to boost your elo is actually MVP stars. MVP stars actually affect your elo the most. The player who gets the MVP star every round gets more elo than the other 4 players on the team. MVP stars are only awarded once per round, as most of you guys probably know, to a single player on whatever team won the round. This is obviously just basics. MVP stars, I'm gonna get into this later, and I think I've mentioned this quite a few times that they kind of need a bit of fixing, because a guy who gets 1 kill and defuses can get the MVP, but if a guy gets 4 kills on the retake, he won't get the MVP because his teammate got 1 kill and defused, which I think is kind of dumb, but I doubt CSGO devs are ever gonna fix it. So to clear this up, the only things that affect your elo are your current elo / rank you're at, the rounds you've won or lost. Let's say you win 16-0, you're gonna gain a lot more elo than if you win 16-14. And also, I see a lot of people questioning whether ties gain you elo or not, and they definitely do, because, well, I for one have ranked up on many ties, and let me explain pretty much why they gain you elo. Ties grant you positive elo because when you win a round, these are just random numbers again, but let's say you win, you get 50 elo if you win a round, and for a round you lose, you pretty much lose 40. And this pretty much means that you're always gonna gain more elo for winning than you're gonna lose elo for losing a round. Now, here are some things that actually don't affect your elo, which some of you probably thought they did at some point. Kills, deaths, and assists, team kills, headshots, accuracy, and literally anything that isn't MVPs, rounds 1, or your current elo. So a lot less comes into factor than you probably originally thought, and you might be thinking, I just dropped 60 kills in the game, why am I not ranking up? Well, if your teammate hogs all the MVPs by defusing the bomb or planting the bomb, you ain't gonna get a lot of elo compared to him. No matter how many kills, headshots, or whatever you get, as long as it isn't MVPs, rounds 1, or pretty much basing it around your current elo, you aren't going to gain that much elo compared to someone with a lot of MVPs. But if you ever see anybody saying, hey, I ranked up on a loss or I D-ranked on a win, it's literally impossible. It's fake news. There's never going to be any proof to it. There is not any proof proof to it. And if you see a story like that, it's fake, because it's literally impossible, because as I said earlier, you cannot gain elo on rounds lost, and if you have a majority of rounds lost, you obviously aren't going to gain elo, and if you have a majority of rounds won, you obviously aren't going to lose elo, so it makes zero sense. But pretty much one final question that one of you guys might have is, can I D-rank 2 times across like the span of 2 games? Now this is definitely something I think is very possible, and I don't have too much information behind this, but apparently the fastest way to rank up in CSGO is by consistently playing. Let's say you play like once a day for, I guess, a month or something. Apparently if you don't play a lot, like let's say you play once every 2 weeks, CSGO, they don't, like, this is really hard to explain, they don't decay your elo, but losses affect you more. It's extremely weird, and I'm not 100% sure why they do this, but if you don't play a lot, it's very possible to D-rank twice across 2 games. Apparently in Wingman it's really easy for this to happen, considering a lot of people don't really play Wingman that much, because it's pretty boring, and once you get global, there's obviously nothing to do in it. But yeah, if something like this happens to you, feel free to leave a comment telling me if it did happen to you, because I've heard a ton of stories about it. But besides that, that pretty much does wrap up this video, guys. So as a final kind of closing thought, what do you guys think of this ranking system? Do you think it's good the way it's made? Do you think MVP stars should affect people that much, or do you think it should be based on kills or something like that? Feel free to leave a comment below telling me what you guys think of this whole ranking system. But yeah, besides that, that pretty much does wrap up this whole video. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.